guys, I know the last time the old pressure washer kind of got the best of me. Well, I'm not going to let it get the best of me this time. So it's been about a week now since we got home from the takeover. If you follow me on Facebook, you know we had a little bit of truck trouble on the way home. Well guys, a little excitement for you. If you talked to me, asked me how my trip into the Pioneer takeover was, I said my truck was having trouble throwing fuel rail pressure codes. Well, if my wife pans forward, as you can see, we are right now on the shoulder of the highway because I threw not only a fuel rail pressure code again, but also a boost controller code. So my truck's in limp mode. We're going 35 miles an hour top speed on the shoulder of a 70-mile-an-hour highway. But we did make it home safely, and no, this nice shiny red Chevy behind me is not my truck. Luckily, when we started having truck troubles, we were only about 45 minutes away from my wife's uncle's house, so he brought his 3/4 ton Chevy down. We hooked the toy hauler up to it and then used it in my truck, and we got him home safely. The old Duramax is still sitting down there. She is going into the shop next week. My guess is, with the way she was acting up, it's probably time to replace the injectors, but I mean, stock injectors that came with the truck and almost 300,000 miles, I still think we're doing pretty good. Anyway, what I plan on doing today, since it has been a week, and as I'm going to show you guys here, I still have yet to clean up little Mighty Mouse from the takeover. It still has that nice Tennessee mud all over and on it. So, fairly nice day out. I think it's time to bust out the pressure washer. Now, with so many different products out there that you can use to clean your machine, I'm not even going to begin to attempt to suggest one over the other. But you guys make sure to comment below what you use for cleaning off your machine. Now myself, where I live, and as quickly as my machine gets dirty, 9 out of 10 times I usually just use the pressure washer, and I don't use any soap or anything. I just use the power of the pressure washer to blast it off. But every now and again I will give my machine a good hand scrubbing with just some mild dish detergent. And then I will tear it down at the end of the riding season before winter sets in and give it a nice thorough cleaning, get all the areas where you can't usually get to unless you tear it off the body panel and you take the wheels off. Get her all stripped down, give her a good cleaning, that way the mud's not in there and it doesn't get froze or anything and cause machine damage during the winter. Now there really is no right or wrong way to wash your machine off. I mean, you have it dirty, you get the dirt off, it's clean. But a couple things to keep in mind, especially if you're using the pressure washer, is it's fine to use a high pressure on the outside, on the plastics, on the doors, like in your fenders. But for more delicate areas like under the hood here where I have my power steering and all my electrical connections, I'll use a lower pressure so I don't damage anything. And the same applies for the interior when I'm hosing off like around the dash and stuff. You don't want to force water into your display gauge or anything like that because that can damage it, and then you're going to just have to replace it later down the road. Now, a couple little tricks I like to do is, one, take the seat belt and I'll pull it out a ways till we get to a dry portion, and then I will clip it so it stays, and that way the portion of your seat belt that got wet while you were washing will be out in the air and it'll have a good chance to dry. That'll keep it from getting moldy and mildewy and rotten, and then failing, if you happen to be out in a trail, you roll it, you put a lot of weight on here and it snaps. Now, another area you don't want to forget about when you're washing up your machine after a muddy ride is the winch. We tend to forget about it because on a lot of machines, you know, it's tucked in underneath where you don't really see it. But you can see here that even after pressure washing it, the cable is absolutely filthy and still covered with mud. Now it doesn't matter if you run a synthetic cable like I do, or if you run a steel braided line. You want to make sure to pull this out far enough to where you get to clean section, wipe it off, and then let it dry before you wind it back in. If you don't let it dry, it can cause your synthetic cable to rot and become weak. It can cause your steel cable to rust and become weak. So always make sure you let this dry before you reel it back in. Now, how often you wash your machine off is entirely up to you. It's good to do it after any kind of rod or you're in any deep, thick mud, because we want to keep our machines running good, and washing them off, hosing the mud off is just all part of routine maintenance. If I'm just splashing around in some mud puddles, I won't be too quick to wash her off, because this here is just from the day after I washed it. Because when you have a muddy driveway like I do that holds water pretty much every day out of the year except for winter when it's frozen, it's a little bit unavoidable to get your machine a little muddy. So I know there are some of you out there that are probably fanatics when it comes to cleaning. You clean your machine after every ride. I am not one of them. Again, it's all in your personal preference. There is probably no right or wrong. As long as you wash it off frequently enough that you can maintain your machine and keep it running for years and years to come. So now that I've already got my 500 dirty again, I might as well go find some mud holes. So until next time, guys, keep on riding. Appalachian Mountain Riders is brought to you in part by the following. The Honda Side-by-Side Club, because who knows the machines better than the owners that use them every day. Walker Evans Racing. When the path requires more than just ordinary, head on over to walkerevansracing.com. Torque Locker from Torque Masters Industries. When you want to explore the unexplored, head on over to torquemasters.com. And by my gracious supporters on Patreon.